Time for us to have a big confrontation with Snowball. To start, we'll go back to the beginning, to the formulation of my greatest desire. Control every soul in Cat Town. Some years ago, I created a corporation of thieves. We secured a large number of assets, became rich, and the police couldn't catch us. Yet I remained unsatisfied. Unlike Robin Wolf, we were not respected. We only inspired fear amongst the populace, and they saw us as a threat. Well, you didn't share money with the poor. Yeah, Robin Hood shared money with the poor. Well, not completely true, dear cat. I paid people to do various jobs for me, some of whom were in need of cash. Unfortunately, they weren't as trustworthy as my original crew. Soon I had an epiphany. I'd never be able to control Cat Town until I literally controlled their minds. No more ulterior motives, no undue fear, no doubting my ability. You're mad! You're, very mad. Oh, I know, but it's a creative madness, and I'm proud of that. I had this wild idea about hypnotizing our fellow citizens. We started simple. Reverse psychology, classic conditioning, basic things. But we needed subjects to experiment upon. So your first guinea pig. Okay, so you did psychological training on guinea pigs. No guinea pigs! Cats and dogs, of course! It took some time, but our first test was quite interesting. We tried and I believe succeeded in making the subject believe he was somebody else. How good was he, Waffles? You've met him. Do you know who I'm referring to? Yeah, your brother. Ooh, your brother Mallow. He's the one in prison. He believes he's you. Correct. He really looks just like me, don't you think? He's your brother, Snowball. How can you let him rot in prison? And I scratched his face for nothing. Yes, that is a shame. Collateral damage, as they say. In my defense, Mallow approached me in desperation many years ago. He was broke, his shop was going under, and he asked me for money. I seized the opportunity, and now he is my very own stunt double. It became a very practical setup. He'd be eating at a restaurant, every police, cat, and dog in town watching him. And on the other end of the city, I'd be robbing a shop. That's why you always had an alibi. Now you're catching on. It was one of my best ideas, not even mentioning the other advantages it presented me. So you said Mallow's lobotomization had other advantages? Lobotomization? Pfft. We're not such base animals, Waffles. He's my brother, even if he wasn't the brightest kitten of our litter. I would never put him under the knife like that. But since he was on the team, I made use of him. We made him to disappear to another city, and I was able to procure his old shop. And this cotton candy shop, let me guess. Yeah, this cotton candy shop. You used it as a safe house. While Mallow was in prison, you'd hide there while preparing whatever plans you had in mind. Maybe a little quicker than I expected. And as you sat quietly in the shop, your brother pushed pancakes off a roof. I must tell you the truth. We conditioned Mallow to be like me. Before this incident, I told him to hurt Inspector Waffles. He surprised even myself. He understood that killing your partner would hurt you more than a physical wound. You're much too compassionate, Waffles. It's your weakness! Target on your back. Yeah, I don't really think being compassionate is a weakness, but that's just me. Nothing to say, friend. You are the most cowardly and pathetic cat I know. The sentiment is appreciated. Now back to my story. Mallow wasn't the only subject in the first batch of experiments. You had a batch of test subjects? Oh yes, we hypnotized a number of cats and dogs. Mostly those who nobody would look for or notice behaving differently. Each of them possessed something we felt we could use to our advantage. A trait or an object. The Maple Market cashier, for example. We knew the shop was located over a sewer access, and we used it as our first safe house. We held our fake cult meetings too, but you already know about that. Sometimes, though, the subjects had flaws. I spent many nights with Mallow trying to share all my memories, but he would just forget the most important one of all. Did you notice it? Yeah. I guess you remember what you said when Pancakes interrogated you after catching you on the street by sheer luck? Nothing is luck with me, Inspector. And yes, of course I remember. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Yep, Mallow didn't know. That's how I knew something was off about him. You'd never forget that moment. I knew it would happen someday. Inevitable, really. We had many failures. There was a dog that wasn't receptive to the experiments at all. We never determined why, but sometimes he would just black out. No bother, he was useless anyways. An antiques collector or something, if I remember well? That's Lucius. I've met him. He's hypnotized by a fishing rod. Yes, that's him. Not my best creation, but I improved quite a bit from there. So that's why the dog in the antique store was all weird. He was the victim of failed mind control. Okay, so Snowball's the real evil genius, definitely. How's this all related to Fluffy's death? Patience, Inspector. As I was telling you, I had some inopportune results with hypnosis. It took too much time for how low our success rate was. I was close to ceasing everything. That is until somebody gave me a peek of what was happening at Box Furniture. So you went to Fluffy's house, but not alone, with a powerful ally. And that was Pavlov. You needed somebody strong. As strong as Pavlov. But why? Yes, Pavlov was with me, but you know nothing of Fluffy's true identity. Without Pavlov, there is no way I could ever hope to defeat him. Wait, was Fluffy like secretly the vigilante from years ago? Is that what we're saying? Peppa mentioned Pavlov to me some time ago, and when I met him, Pavlov's potential was immediately visible. Clearly an asset we wanted on the team. I knew we would need to do a thorough job with him, so we used a special method just for him. Classic conditioning and using a bell to boot. Precisely! It took far longer than we imagined, but the retraining was so impactful, it didn't matter. He's ready to go by the time the Box Furniture intel arrived. What intel? It's quite interesting! Did you know that Box Furniture has an R&D department with an enormous budget? Very high-tech stuff they produce. Odd for a cardboard company, no? Well, I mean, since Fluffy ran the company and we just determined he was secretly the vigilante Batman, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Tiger Suit is the, yeah, but it's Batman, I think. I don't know. They were experimenting on a new technology for collecting info on the different boxes. They called it barcodes. Use some kind of laser on it and you can edit them on a computer? I can't be bothered with the details, so who cares? But during the initial test, the laser made a red dot on the wall and all the scientists in the room went crazy. They were jumping all around, fighting like primitive animals, and it was even more effective on dogs. It triggered the desire to hunt prey. That sounds terrible. I would never want to be like that. Oh dear, police dog, don't you worry. You might enjoy being a bit more feral. So just to be clear, you went to Fluffy's house with Pavlov, and under your orders, he threw Fluffy through the window. Yes, and I found some interesting info on his computer, which led me to who had possession of the laser's blueprint. You stole it and murdered that cat in the street. That was Marmalade. Ooh, you're finishing my sentences. We must be made for each other. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Okay, so Snowball is going to use a giant laser pointer to turn all the cats crazy. This monster! Okay, get behind. You're behind the two murders. But you're wondering about the fake leads, yes? Yep. Sure, I'm quite proud of those, you know. What'd you like to know? The Polaroid? The fake Polaroid? Fake Polaroids of both victims. Well, of course! Those were for patches. I figured you'd be out of the picture by the time you found the second one. Without your pancakes, well, none of us were surprised by how poorly he handled the case from there. All of which was the second part of my plan. Patches believed Maple was the next target. He didn't stop to think twice before heading to Maple's office. And so off we went to quietly pocket the ruby we needed without any police interference. They were all looking for a threat that didn't exist. I know, I'm quite the genius. Any other false leads you'd like to discuss? Okay, how about the weird cult? The secret underground cult. That was specially made just for you, Inspector. I needed to make sure I wouldn't be disturbed while stealing the ruby for the laser. It was the best way to keep you out of my fur. You're too much of a threat to my plans, and the only one who could challenge me intellectually. Well, besides pancakes, of course, but I don't need to paint you a picture, now do I? Why not just kill me, though? For the fun of it, Waffles! It was far more enjoyable to watch you stumble and falter and lose the respect of your team. I'm not a psychopath, after all. Debatable, but please go on. I know you leave no stone unturned. Your personal life may be a mess, but you're a perfectionist when it comes to detective work, even if you do have minimal respect for procedure. So why not simply plant some fake clues in your case? Yes, getting into Irwin's house or finding 30 cats for a cult? A lot of preparation was needed. But I knew the payoff would be worth it. We must enjoy the little things, you know. It really was a treat to watch you unfold. I almost owe you thanks. I should have known better. I should have seen through those clues. Oh, don't blame yourself. I did incredible work orchestrating all that, and you really couldn't have been expected to know any better. The plan worked to perfection. We had the ruby. The cannon was ready and secure. Everything was going very smoothly. We decided to lay low for a bit and headed to the nearest safe house. But when we arrived, we saw both of you there, with Pavlov leaving the cotton candy shop. So I did something I detest. I changed my plan. You'd uncovered too much of it, so I decided to deploy the laser as soon as possible. Also, he's planning on using the laser at a different event, but he had to move it up because we were catching on to him. I suppose you thought the same, so here you are, trying in vain to stop me. You got that right. Too late now, my friends. We're only waiting on patches to let everyone out of the pending threat. No, we're waiting for patches to let everyone out because of the pending threat, and then showtime! We initiate the laser and create what I love most in this world, chaos! I can hardly wait. It's such a powerful feeling, one that I deserve for all my hard work. But Patches is being a bit slow, as you could expect. So while we're waiting, I guess this means it's my turn to ask questions. I hope you'll be as respectful as I was and answer with complete honesty. Yes, complete honesty.